Hey, my name is Sarah and welcome back to another episode of Talking Fast. It is not even 24 hours since we've finished the Toronto Waterfront Marathon.
10:21. We were in the middle of it 24 hours ago.
Yes, exactly. I'm Sarah, that's Jacob, and I've officially joined the Marathoner Club.
Sarah, congratulations.
Thank you. I would love to know the percentage of podcast hosts where both have run a full marathon.
Oh, it's got to be low. We got to be
low.
We got to be like at least the top 3 in there.
At least.
Running podcast aside, because probably all those people.
That's true. Running podcast aside, aside from the running podcast niche, I had a few people on the course yell, "I love talking fast" at me, which was great.
I think people did yell at me a few times,
But you were just locked in.
but I never hear anyone.
I hear about 50% of them. I also wore Shox headphones for the first time, so I could hear more than I normally can.
Did you like those?
Yeah, I actually ended up really liking them. They were, and also the battery life was amazing. That's why I got them. I also bought them in a panic because it was supposed to rain. We'll dive into that in a little bit. But first, we're just gonna have like a full discussion about the marathon. We're doing a full debrief, and we really haven't talked to each other about like our experiences yet. I saw Jacob on the course as I was heading. That was like what, kilometer 40, 41 that I saw you?
40 and a
half.
Yeah.
And Jacob in slides ran alongside me, filming me. And I was like, this is absurd because you just finished a marathon and you're well enough to be able to run. But first, I guess, overall, what was your biggest takeaway and how did you feel the day went for you?
It was a good race yesterday. I missed my like A goal time by a little bit. I ran a 3:22:59 and I earned that last second. I was trying to sprint. Both toes were cramping at the finish line trying to get over. But I'm happy with 3:22. I took 14 and a half minutes off of my PR, which I was pretty happy with. But the rain held off. Thank you for your Etsy witch, by the way.
No problem.
It's
the legacy I'm leaving.
Windy still.
It was really windy.
The Etsy witch was flying around like
I know. I think
on her broomstick or something.
The wind was the pushing the rain away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was real windy.
It was tough.
And I don't even think I realized how windy it was until the second half. Like, because the first half I was just like numb to it kind of. I just like locked in. I don't know how you feel because this was my first marathon. The first half, don't even remember it. I just like ran it smart and then that was it. But yeah, the wind really hit me in the second half.
The first 7K, you black out. Second 7K, you black out. And then you kind of start to get into your pace and you kind of think, okay, like I have so much further to run. Yeah. I got to start thinking about this race actually. But I will say, I did want to shout out Toronto a little bit because the crowds were better than the first time I ran it a few years ago. And I was impressed. I'm happy. I think it's in large part because this race sold out this year.
Yeah, so there was just more people running.
And there were, I think, I know that it was like 9,500 spaces for the marathon. I don't think that many people finished. I think it was like 7,500 or something like that, maybe close to it. But it's always fun when it's a sold out race because then everyone's bringing a few people. I know you had like 1,000 people that were like.
I had a crew. I did have a crew of like 15 friends biking. The whole like course, which was amazing. So I never like really went more than 5 kilometers without seeing somebody, which was amazing.
I'm happy with my race. How was your race though? This was your first marathon. I want to know how it felt.
The first half felt really, really good. I raced it smart in the first half. I didn't allow myself to run anything under a 6-minute kilometer in the first half because I was like, you scared the shit out of me the other day when I saw you about like anything that you do in the first half, you'll lose in the second. I was like, okay. So I felt like I ran it really smart. I ran perfect splits. Like I ran it really well. Like I ran a good solid half. It wasn't a PR, which was good in the half because I wasn't racing the half. And I kind of just like vibed, blacked out, didn't really like pay attention to it. I've also ran the West End course. That's where I did my training, right? Yeah. So for me, I just kind of like allowed myself to not think and just run and vibe, and I didn't stop once, which like just know that when I'm training I stop a lot, and so I ran just like straight through, did not stop, felt like so strong. And then the turn, I was going way too fast at the turn part. Like I think I ended up going down to like almost like a 5-minute kilometer. Like I was just like the adrenaline was pumping.
Like underneath the Gardner.
Yeah, and also my watch was sketching. It was like going insane. So it was telling me I was running a 6:20 kilometer, but I wasn't actually. I was more like running a 5:30. Like it was really confusing. And then I turned off into like the first half went by really quickly. I was like, I can't believe 2 hours has already gone by. And then I turned off into like the St. Lawrence Market area. And
we were talking just before this. Like that is such a mental test, that turn off.
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't run it, there's underneath the Gardner, about 20 at the 20 kilometer mark, the half marathon runners start running on the left side of Lakeshore, and the marathoners start running on the right.
And you really see how few marathoners there are, and how everyone you've been pacing off of around, or like that you've been like running with, have been half marathoners.
I had a mantra in that I was actually speaking out loud. I must have sounded crazy to the guy that was like beside me at that portion, because I was just like repeating to remain disciplined during that time, because a lot of people are about to finish their half marathon, but they start their kick, and you're like, oh, I got to keep up with these people, like, but they're running like ridiculously fast, you know?
Yeah. So I turned off, and I was still feeling pretty good, but it's definitely when like my feet physically started to hurt, and that's what I noticed. Like just like the time on my feet, like it was just like, and that's happened before. I will say, I was like, my mantra was, I was like, okay, the race starts now. Like that's when I have to like start thinking about it. The thing I was not prepared for, and I know that course, I know so many people that have ran it, but the thing I was not prepared for is, okay, so I do this thing when I run is I give myself permission to do a walk break if I like feel like I need it. And I'm like, and I know it will like mentally reset me and everything. So I was like, okay, Sarah, when you're going over the bridge, like into the East End, you're allowed to walk. So I thought that was coming up, but I forgot that you run all the way down through Corktown and then go up under the along the Don River, all before you cross the bridge.
And that is like a very technical part of the course, because there's it's not cobblestones, but it's like pavers kind of thing. It's a little uneven. And then there's construction underneath that overpass. And then there's like tight turns. It's very tight.
And so then that mentally killed me. Okay, so this is like my biggest like gripe. Everybody told me the marathon you'll be fine because the adrenaline will get you through.
I told Sarah that.
Everybody told me that. But this is the issue. Adrenaline for the first half, the last little bit, the last 5K kick, absolutely. The issue with the way the Toronto course is and Queen Street, I had adrenaline because there was lots of people. The issue is the most mentally difficult part of the marathon for me was coming out of the half when you've just felt so strong, but now you have to change your entire race plan and go, okay, now it's like I'm doing that all over again, but on tired legs. Like the way I was describing to my friends last night is like, it felt like I blacked out the first half. It felt like I woke up and someone had dropped my body in front of the St. Lawrence Market and said, okay, now go run 21K on exhausted legs. And that's what it felt like. So then I started really like whatever. This is where I started to like go downhill. And it was because of that running up along the Don River. There is no fans there. There's like 4 women doing Bollywood dancing at the end of it. That is the only like spectators there was.
That.
There was no, and that's the part where everyone around me started walking.
And it's quite hilly over there too.
It's very hilly. It's rolling hills. And when everyone around me started walking, it's because there was no spectators. So everyone immediately was like, okay, now I can take a walk break. That was my biggest mistake I would say in my race is I started walking when I saw other people walk, and I probably didn't need to at that point. But it's so demoralizing because you go from like energy of all these people to then when you need it the most, they put you on the shittiest part of the run, and that is literally that's what killed me. Like that part of the run.
That's the tough thing about any race, and I noticed that a little bit too, especially on Lakeshore East and then coming back, which is like the last. I called it. There's 6 out. And then 6 back, and then you have 3K left still. But like that last 3K is kind of,
it's different.
It's the end, so it doesn't really matter. But it's tough when you've been running beside the same people for a long time, and you are motivating each other, and you're like, oh, you're gonna pace me for a little bit, and then I'm ahead of you, and I'm probably bringing you behind me for a little bit. And it's demoralizing when one of those people cramps or stops, and you're like, hard. But wait, you're my buddy, and like that might happen to me now.
I know. And so I just like I think what sucked for me is like that was the mental part I wasn't prepared for because I never ran a full before, and then for that to be the shittiest part of the course to be right after you've crossed half when you really need. If anything, that's when you really need the like, okay, the race is starting now. Like you need more of the support to then go like, okay, now go run along the side of the river on this like abandoned road. That's what it felt like. And so that really killed my mental health. That's what it felt like. I texted so then you pass 25 when you're out there. Yeah. I texted Nolan at 25 because at 25, the 4:30 pacer passed me. And look.
Oh, a pace bunny passing you sucks.
My A1, this was what I kept telling myself. My A1 goal was finish and not die, because we saw, and we'll talk about it, we saw a lot of people with defibrillators on the course. Like there was a lot of people that
health concerns,
legitimate heart attacks. A2 was under 5 because I knew with how much stopping I had done in training, and also, if I'm being honest, my mileage each week was not like crazy high. So I was like, okay, under 5. And then my third goal was like, if I'm really feeling amazing, I would like be ecstatic if I did under 4:30. Which I was pacing for in the first half, but like, the first half, it was a little bit different. But when the 4:30 pacer passed me, there was actually this like, it felt like my shoulders relaxed. And everyone had told me your first marathon, don't give a shit about time, but you can't do that until like you're in it. You know what I mean? Like I texted Nolan though at 25 and I said, and I quote, fuck a time, I just need to finish this damn thing. And I texted him that as I'm like doing the turn.
I like you were texting during the marathon.
Well, I would text when I needed Gatorade or when I needed a water switch or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not running as fast as you. I'm running like a 6:30 kilometer. I can text and run a 6:30 kilometer. So anyways, or on a walking break, I would text. And so then
I would love to be texting. I would love to be watching TikToks while running.
Oh, well, I wish I could do that, but no, I can't do that. So then anyways, I texted him and said, I just need to finish this thing. 25. And then when you come back down out of that hellhole.
Where did they see you? Where did, after 25? Like, did they?
At Corktown, like where the cobblestone was, at that corner.
Okay,
But before you're about to go across the bridge, they saw me again there. And that's when I looked at them, I said, this fucking sucks. I screamed that. And then I saw my sister after the bridge and she's running with me a little bit. And I go, this is at like 26. I say, I'm never doing this again. Don't ever let me do this again. Remember this quote. I see her 10 kilometers later at 36. After I've crossed Queen Street, I'm like passing people left, right, and center. Everyone's cramping up, and I'm just like trekking along, and I'm like feeling good again after I'd seen Izzy. Like, and Emily starts running with me again. She goes, "Still never want to do this again." I go, "Oh no, I have to do this again and do it faster." So it's so funny how just like mentally, like my hellhole was 22 to 28.
That's classic, yeah.
That because you've gone so far already, but you still have so much further to go. After 28. I was like, Sarah, just get to 30, then it's only 12. When I got to 30, I said, you can run 10K plus a bonus too. And then once I got to like 30,
the marathoner math is crazy where you're just like, oh, but there's 3 here. And then, okay, then it's another 3, then 6, then another 2, then 1. It's easy.
What's insane to think about though is like when you're out on the beaches, and this is why this course is weird to me. You're in the beaches, you're on Queen Street West. I see Izzy.
I also shout out Izzy's right in front of us right now. Shout out Izzy for going out to the 32 kilometer mark.
Izzy also brought the energy on Queen Street because like everyone was just very polite watching. Izzy is like to the point where I can hear her down the street screaming.
I said earlier that I never heard anyone. I think Izzy was the only person I heard.
Screaming. And it was so fun. It was just like incredible to see because you're like screaming all like for 200 meters while I'm like running up. It was so good. And but I saw you like 36 maybe that was. The fact that that's 36 and you're telling me it's only 6 kilometers from like
out there
from way out there to Nathan Phillips Square, my brain couldn't really comprehend
That's what I like about this course is that you said your training zone is over here in the West End. That's like my home turf of where I'm running all the time. So it does feel, I'm like, I know what this
feels like.
The next one, I can visualize it, which is a huge benefit, I think.
Of course.
For anyone who hasn't done it.
I had ran a little bit in the East End, but I definitely wish I'd done more of my long runs in the East End because I did my final 2 out there, but I knew the West End like the back of my hand. I knew exactly. I was like, okay, this feels. It was actually so funny because I'm like running. I go, that's where I sprained my ankle in August, and I'm like running along, and I'm like doing all these things, and it was just like I knew everything. But yes, if I could go back and just redo any part of it, I would just go back and when I was the kilometer 23 to 25, I would have just tried to power through it a little bit more, and I think it would have set me up for more success. But at a certain point, once the pacer passed me, it was like this amazing freeing feeling of I don't give a shit about a time anymore. And then I had fun with it after. I think that's why I was in such a better mood on Queen Street. I stopped being so hard on myself. If I like really was feeling tight in my legs and wanted to like stretch and walk, I did that. I didn't let myself I wasn't like mean to myself at all, which I was really surprised by. But it was after I stopped giving a shit about the time because I was mean to myself the first half about being disciplined. And then there was something so freeing about it. And I had fun the second half. I was like kind of dancing again while I was running. And then I was telling Jacob before I was being the salt tablet fairy. So I had these salt tabs in my thing and I used like 5 of them. So I had like 5 left. And when we're running along Queen on the way back, there's so many people cramping. And so I was like going, do you want a salt tablet? do you want a salt tablet?
And those things can bring you back to 100%.
Life. And everyone's like, oh my God, yes, please, thank you. It was my little crew of like 10 people that were all like with me, and like we're all like kind of doing the run walk together, and like they would run past me, and then I would run up to them, and they'd start walking, like 100%. But yeah, this is the thing. It was like probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
You posted about that it was the hardest thing.
Yeah.
You feel today that is the case?
Yeah.
My first marathon was also.
I think that's the hardest, because I also had to like, everyone talks about mental. It is like me having to like relinquish the like ego of like giving a shit about what people would think of my time was a huge factor for me. Cause like, I'm going to be fucking real. I'm on the TikTok, like I'm on the side of TikTok where like everyone's running sub 4 hour marathons and everyone's doing all this. And also, if we're being completely honest, you know this, I know this, like marathon training to me was like a part of my life, but it was not my whole life. And the people that are like hitting those incredible times, like the dedication they put in is another level. I trained for a marathon pretty casually. Yeah. I really locked in the last month, but I've trained overall pretty casually. And I think the hardest part for me was the mental part of it. But I was so proud of myself the first half that then I was able to like, I don't know, like work through that. And that was, it was not like, obviously it was physically it was physically also the hardest thing I've ever done, but mentally it was the hardest thing I've ever done. Cause I had to like not allow myself to like self-hatred and whatever.
How did it feel crossing the finish line?
Well, I cried. Except for the one that was funny. I was like crying, but there was only a couple tears coming out because I was so dehydrated.
Yeah, you don't have any.
I was trying to cry and like live in the moment, and I couldn't.
I need to like hydrate 3 kilometers out so I can just experience that. I'm not a crier. I wish I was, but every single time I've crossed the finish line, I was just like, it's so emotional.
Do you want to know what? Oh my God, I'm gonna cry talking about it. But I like pictured that moment for like all of training. So I think that's what was like crazy for me. And I was allowing myself to like cry and like whatever. And there was a lot of people like cheering my name as I was finishing, which was really great. And I also saved my legs. Like I walked like one final time at like 40 and a half. Cause I was like, you're not walking up Bay
You got to push that.
You have to push up Bay. And, I was like, I want to feel like I'm finishing strong. Like that's all I cared about. So I was really happy I was able to do that. The last thing I ever wanted to do was cross the finish line walking. And so I like finished really strong, which I was so proud about. Cause that was like when I was like on the run, I was like, okay, like just make sure you can finish strong, get to a space where I can finish strong. Like that was my whole probably mantra for the last 10K.
Well, that's the biggest thing for me too, is that like once it's such a release, that's probably why you're crying, right? It's such a release 100%. When you actually cross it. Cause you're like, okay, I'm so proud of myself for actually getting to this.
Cause I kept saying like I have like mantras for races, like you do too. Like when you're running, you kind of have to have them. So the back half, I just kept saying like 12K until you're a marathoner, 11K until you're a marathoner. Cause then that's like something that it's like, regardless of like, I needed like when I had relinquished time and stopped caring about time, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like you're still a marathoner. I'm part of this like group of people.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, cause I wanted, if there was you're always going to have these debates. It's like, oh, if there was no wind, if there was a little bit colder or something like that. It's like, you have to run with the thing that you're given.
We have to remember, you and I are so in the like pocket and funnel of like marathon running, and like, our TikTok algorithm talks about it a lot and all this stuff. My friends like have no idea what a good time is. What about, you know what I mean? Like, my friends were like, how many steps did you take? And it said 55,000. Like, what? Like, that's the thing that they're like, like Jaden's face behind the camera right now.
And your heart rate just being that elevated 100%. For hours on end. So, like it is, no matter when you cross the finish line, or even if like you go down needing medical attention or something,
or the people that do it in 6 hours, and you have to think about, they are on their feet for 6 hours running. Like that's great. Like my friend May really helped me put in perspective, because she goes, you just ran, like you were on your feet for that, like over 4.5 hours. That's insane.
I had to, both in training and then also in the race. I don't know why it was just for this one that I started doing it, but like I just started to have full conversations with myself.
Oh, I do that too.
Because when people talk about like, oh, you have to talk yourself out of it. I was fully talking myself out of slowing down or quitting, and I would ask myself like, oh, can we just stop now? And I'd be like, sorry, you can't do it yet.
See, unfortunately, that's where at 23 I went, oh, well, everyone else is stopping, so surely I can stop, which was fine, whatever. So I think like also the takeaway is I will want to do another one. I think I would do another one in Toronto. I don't think I'll do the full
And it's
again.
tough because the May race sucks.
I won't do that one.
And I mean, full offense to if you're a race organizer.
The May race is the May ran out of medals in 1 year. So I don't think I will run the full again in Toronto. I really want to run the half next year and just rip it.
It's fun to do this half.
It's a fun half. And I know that course like the back of my hand. And I know I would have done a sub 2 half, like 100%.
Here's the move. We talked about this before too, because the lottery opens for Chicago tomorrow.
Yeah.
Enter for Chicago, or maybe if Chicago's listening.
If someone wants to sponsor us to go to Chicago.
Run that full and then do the half the next week. The next weekend.
I definitely want to run another one now because it's also like, why would I only run one when now I know how it works? Like nothing could have prepared me. Like you all tried to prepare, but nothing can prepare me for like that mental game at 23 to 28. Like you just have to do it. So now I'm like, okay, I now know maybe if I add another run a week, my mileage goes up a little bit.
That's exactly where I'm at. I'm just like,
and so I'm like, I can go, Jacob, I was running 2 times a week. Like I can run 3 times a week and like be a little bit stronger.
My buddy Rich was like, he just moved to LA and he's just like, oh, the LA marathon's in March. We'll come down, do a little visit. We'll run the marathon. And I was like, dude, give me 5 days where I can pretend that I'm not going to do this again.
Exactly.
And then we'll talk about that. But like, that's the thing where I'm at too. It's like, okay, I've worked down. I was proud of myself because the first time I ran, for my first marathon was this course in Toronto in 2022.
Yeah.
And I ran this race yesterday in almost an exact hour faster than that one. And I've worked down my PR every single race that I've done, which is good. But I'm like, okay, how can we tighten this up a little bit more now? It's like, is that another couple strength workouts per week? Is that more mileage? Like I was running 6 times a week
That's
for
crazy.
4 months. And I think I just need to do that and then add more mileage. It's tough though. It's like, where do you find that little extra percentage of effort?
I don't know when it will be. I just know I will run another one, and I would like to run like a major, probably like one that I know there's gonna be people the entire way
at the end. Yeah, you want to create Abbott World Marathon major profile online, and
I want to also have people the entire duration and not have to run along the Don River.
Well, that's the difference from running New York last year. It's like there's a good crew. I forget who it is. I think it's Parkdale Roadrunners underneath the Gardner, kind of be just before that split. They're a really good, energetic crew. Shout out to them. And then at the end, Culture Athletics show at the East End at Bay and Wellington. They do a really good cheer section. But there were, for basically the remainder of the entire course, there were never like any portions where I was overwhelmed by the support.
And like the most is maybe Bathurst Street.
Bathurst, yeah.
Because that's because all the young people live on Bathurst. That's like kilometer 6.
It's arguably from like 2.5K where U of T is to kilometer 6 or maybe 7 is pretty hype. But that's at the beginning of the race, and you kind of need that in the middle of it. 100%. Whereas New York, there were a couple of dead zones.
Yeah, but
that were like 2 blocks long, and then everything else is
like
just
when
packed.
I watched New York, I had to elbow my way through to the front to even see my friends.
Exactly.
So like that's the type of, and like Chicago's the same way. There's just like so many people, and it becomes like it's like a thing for that city, right? Like it's so massive,
and there's no place as a spectator here in Toronto where you get overwhelmed standing beside someone waiting for their friends, and then there's like this thing in a huge marathon as spectators where like you're watching for someone, and then like your person goes by, and then you relinquish that spot. Like,
to
let's
give
get someone
somebody
else who's like waiting
exactly.
for their. There's something just like that. Granted, Toronto, like I said, did do better than previous years. It's just, I don't know. Are we crazy? But like, I feel like it's the best. It's one of the times when like the city feels so welcoming and uplifting 100%. And positive, and like it's hard to compete 100%. With that.
And it's like such an inspiring day. Let's talk about maybe some things that happened that we didn't expect.
I vomited in my mouth. I hate
what kilometer?
Gels at the Bayview like little turnaround thing, and I'd taken a gel. I took a gel like, I don't know, it was around 25 there. I don't mind
gels. I like them. They taste good.
They're okay, but I used the Morton gels, which are just like, they're 160s, so like they're a little bit bigger.
I used one of those.
They don't have a great taste, and I just like, I can't eat solid food while running, and I hate the texture and all flavors of gels. So I choked them down. And then this was like my fourth gel. And I got it down and I was like, and I was like, I need a little water, but there's no water around. And you know when you throw up in your mouth a little bit and you're like, oh, that was a little bit of throw up. I got not chunks, but like a lot. And I just swallowed it.
Okay. Okay. So probably around the same, no, mine. So maybe just after that. This is like when I was, again, in my hellhole at 20, starting at 23. So this is like also maybe a factor and part of the reason. I always knew there was a chance my period was going to come in and around marathon day. And if you guys need to know one thing about me, I have horrendous periods. Like a day 2 of my period is like hell on earth. So I always knew there was a chance it was going to happen around it, but I didn't think it was going to happen like on the day.
Yeah.
So anyways, I didn't really think twice, whatever. And I didn't have...
You weren't prepared?
Well, no, because I didn't have... Like, it ended up being fine. So basically what happened was kilometer like 23... I like feel something and my body at this point is just like doing weird shit, right? Because it's like my body's like, oh, why are we like still running? Like it doesn't know what's happening. And I'm like talking to myself in my head. I go, did I just pee a little? Like what the hell just happened? Like I didn't know what was going on. And then I was like talking to myself and then I went, how funny would that be if I just got my period and I started bleeding down my leg? I said that to myself in my head when I was like talking. And then I continued running, ran the marathon, finished.
Well, you didn't even clue in while running?
No, because my body's just like, there's sweat, there's so much stuff happening. There's so much stuff happening. And it wasn't a lot, so it didn't really matter. And then I continued running. I went to go get drinks with my friend, food with my friends after. And that was the first time I used the washroom. And I go to use the washroom and I noticed, I'm like, holy shit, I got my period in the middle of the run. Which explains so much. I felt so bloated yesterday morning and I felt like a little groggy and I should have known like that's like A1, like that's how I feel when I'm about to get my period. And then as I was running, when I was joking, be like, I wonder if I get my period in this run, which I had, I kept thinking about, I was like then running because I'm trying to distract yourself, right? I'm like, I wonder how many women are running on their period right now, which also is something that women who run marathons is even more crazy impressive to me because it's not something that like men have to train for, right? Like when I was on my period, I would not go on long runs because it was just like so painful. Or my biggest fear was if I happened to be on day 2 of my period, I would have had to stop at the washroom like 3 times at least to like change tampons and stuff. Like it just was something that I was having to kind of disaster plan for in case. But it ended up being fine. But I did get my period in the middle of that run. And so it makes a lot
adds
of stuff.
To the lore of the first
marathon. Yep.
Yeah.
So
did anything else weird happen?
I just saw a lot of people like borderline like dropping dead.
Running up Bay, which is like the last little stretch before you get to the finish line. I was running in the middle and I had to go to the left side because there was an emergency little like vehicle. It wasn't an ambulance, but it was one of the little, course ones. With someone, she was in the back and like they were holding her, like they were checking her pulse. And then like 2 seconds after that, or like I finished and then I was walking down, same spot. Guy was on fully oxygen, being like emergency evacuated off the course.
I saw, it was actually only in the first half mostly. I saw people with like defibrillators attached to them,
which is insane.
And then I saw
that's crazy.
I saw an emergency vehicle actually had to like cut us off. Like they kind of at 9K like had to deter us like around, and the ambulance came up because there was a guy like all the firefighters were surrounding and they were giving him CPR.
Oh my god!
So like hopefully everyone was okay. But that's the stuff
do we know if they're okay or not?
I don't know. But I do think that's one of the things that like I think it could mess with you. But for me, it was one of those things where I just went, okay, remember, like this proves how like difficult these things are. Like it's not as like quote unquote easy as people think that they can just like go out and run. Like it's really scary because you don't know how your body's gonna react, and they're very real consequences, especially with like heart rate and stuff that can happen.
On the positive side, though, on the other side, it's like that also was so fun that like we finished it though. Then you know what I mean?
know.
And the medals are pretty cool. Or if you're not watching the video version, we have our medals around our neck. Got some heft to it.
Okay, let's talk about my Etsy witch.
Yeah, this thing blew up. It was so funny because do you know Michael? Because he posted on TikTok, he was like, someone's got to hire an Etsy witch. And I literally scrolled 3 more posts.
And I just paid for one.
Had just paid for one. I was like, this is crazy.
So I had actually paid for it the night before because Michael texted me, he goes, when did you, or like DM'd
really?
me and and I was like, no, I paid for it the night before. So what happened was, I'm going to tell the Etsy witch story. Tuesday night, I'm having a crash out about weather. I'm like disaster planning. I'm having flashbacks to Halifax 10K, which was the hardest race in my life, honestly.
Because the forecast had 20 millimeters
And
of
I
rain.
had to run in a storm in Halifax up those hills. And so I knew what that felt like. And I was like, I can't do that for 42 kilometers. I just physically cannot.
Let's get some supernatural stuff in here.
So then I was like, if you've seen on TikTok, there's all the people that like hire Etsy witches for like their weddings. And I, as recently as the weekend before, seen a girl that I know that got married in Mallorca pay for an Etsy witch, and her weather was perfect. And I was like, do you want to what?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Because if it works, it's incredible lore,
if it doesn't,
and I leave a legacy on the Toronto Waterfront Marathon 2025. And if it doesn't work, no one's going to talk about it. Who gives a shit? It's just funny. So, anyways, I pay for the Etsy witch on Tuesday night. I don't think I post the video till Wednesday, but I post the video, and it immediately got so much traction, and it's just so funny. Like, everyone's like, I've always wondered if this worked. Like, following along. The next day, the witch messages me and she goes, I've cast your spell, blah, blah, blah.
Well, because also I saw a ton of TikToks that whole week from the Thanksgiving weekend leading up until race day, and everyone was talking about, oh, here are tips to run in the rain, and here's like, no one else wanted to do anything about it. They were just like, oh, I'm just gonna say yes, I'm gonna go run in the rain. There
was a comment where a girl was like, this was a much more productive response than the crash out I had, and I was like, honestly, because like, what's the hurt? So, anyways, I pay for my Etsy witch. I picked the one that was on sale. She was only $17. I actually literally went, oh, this one's $17 instead of $34. So
wait, did she send you like? I know she said that. Okay, the spell's been cast. Or
no,
whatever,
that's all I got. She probably.
There was no video of like.
No, it's not like her like. I'm sure some of them might send videos, but this girl didn't, and it's fine. But she had really good reviews. She had like 5 stars. So I was like,
wait, did you leave a review? You have to.
I'm going to. So I'm going to leave a review for her. Anyways, she cast the spell. Jacob, when I tell you the second she cast it and said it was done is when that like the weather, remember how like the line just went poof, like
it was
changed.
like 5 millimeters less, and then it was like a couple hours later 5 millimeters
and
even
then
fewer.
It just kept pushing. Then it was noon, it was going to start raining, then 1, and then 3, and everyone's messaging going, it's working. And then there are people in my DMs being like, is this also going to work for the Detroit Marathon? I go, no, I only paid for Toronto, and I only said the morning. That was the key part. I said, I'm not trying to be
You're not making
selfish.
a huge ask here.
I'm not making a big ask. All I asked for was I wanted all of her energy channeled to the morning, because I just didn't want to stand in a crowd soaking wet.
Yeah.
So I chatter channel it to the morning, and all I asked for was Toronto for the marathon the morning. It kept pushing. And it was hilarious. The fact that there was that became like the lore for me running was hilarious.
Everyone knew about this.
At the expo, people were coming up to me saying, thank you for the Etsy witch, it's changing. On race day yesterday, I must have had 30 runners mid-race tap me on the shoulder or like run up beside me and go, you're the girl that hired the Etsy witch. Thank you for the Etsy witch.
No.
It was incredible. And then that also added to like, it helped me when I was like running, especially in the back half, like when people were like, thank you for the Etsy witch, whatever. There were signs, people had signs.
Well, I texted Sarah even before the race happened. I was just like, a little bit of pressure is off now, because no matter what happens in your race, you will have a little bit of lore around
people
this
will always
marathon.
know. And so my friend had a sign, my friend Kayla and Mac, they made a sign that said, thank you, Etsy witch. And Nolan was telling me yesterday, he goes, that was the sign that got the most reaction.
Really?
He goes, easily 300 runners pointed at it and went, yeah, Etsy witch. Hilarious. In the starting corrals, I had multiple people coming up to me saying thank you. At least 30 to 50 people said thank you. Or
wait, can we get this Etsy witch? Will you buy another one and just send her a message and be like, can we interview on the podcast?
Maybe we could. The Astral Coven on Etsy. She's in California.
Whoa,
anyways,
huge plug.
So it was just it was a fun addition to my marathon journey, because I've been making content about me running this marathon, and the thing that I'm known for, no one gives a shit how fast I ran it. No one cares about anything other than, you'd think I casted the spell. Like, people are acting like I cast the spell.
Well, didn't you say that like a marathon account even? Like,
the official Toronto Waterfront Marathon account literally like commented on my post being like, thank you for the Etsy witch. They DM'd me, thank you for the spell. And so it was so funny. And then there was probably like 10 TikToks made yesterday of people going, everyone say thank you, Sarah, for the Etsy stall. And there's some people like, shout out that girl that hired the Etsy
I did
witch.
see a couple of those.
There was a bunch
actually,
of those.
yeah.
And well, anyone that says shout out that girl that hired the Etsy witch, like people were very kind and like,
let's brand that. That's Sarah Jenkins.
Yeah, everyone was like tagging.
Yeah,
I saw it. It was so funny. So when I got a big cheer at the finish line, when they said Sarah Jenkins came across the finish line, I'm just convinced it's because everyone associates me with the weather and the Etsy witch. The sun literally came out. Like when I was running on Queen Street, it was sunshine. It was crazy. Was the weather perfect? No, there was humidity. There was a lot of wind, but we didn't have to run in soaking wet shoes, and that's all I cared about.
Yeah, because weren't you gonna pack an extra set of shoes?
I was gonna switch shoes halfway because I just knew how horrible my blisters were from Halifax. So, anyways, all to say in this lesson is that it never hurts to hire an Etsy witch because what's the loss? What are you gonna lose? $17? That's worth it. That's like a latte and a croissant in Toronto. You know what I mean? So like, what's the hurt? You might as well. She might raise her prices after this though, because I've talked a lot about this.
Imagine we look on, she's like $1,700. Well, the reviews have been too good.
Well, the one that's so funny, someone goes, "Oh, I thought you paid like $100 for this." I go, "No."
Is that the going rate for an Etsy witch?
No, I don't know how much. But anyways, I love that is the legacy that I am leaving on the 2025 Toronto Waterfront Marathon. It made it very fun because I'm not a woo-woo person. Like it was just a funny bit.
Well, that's the fun thing about a race too. Like if you're running a 5K, 10K, whatever, right? Is that like a lot of people, running culture has exploded over the last 5 years. There's so many more people running and a lot of people are trying to get PRs and this and that. But like at the end of the day, it also is so fun to just...
It felt very like, okay, I'm going to be honest. I've never really felt part of like the running community in the sense of like, I trained for this all by myself. We have our run club and we have our people that like would come to it and stuff. But like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm part of the Toronto running scene. I don't train with Black Toe. I don't anyways, I honestly didn't think anyone really like knew who I was in the running scene. And like, I was training for this. Like I wasn't making a ton of content about it, but I like people knew, but this was the first time I felt part of the running community because like, it felt like everyone like came together over the weather changing because we were all going to be living in that experience together. Right.
Yeah.
So it was like whether people were running fast or slow. Well, it's all relative, but like, you know what I mean? Like everyone from running like a 3:15 marathon to people running a 6-hour marathon, everyone was coming together in celebration that the weather ended up being perfect. So I think that's like the most I felt part of the running community. So thanks, Etsy Witch. Thanks, Etsy Witch. Okay. So post run.
I don't. Oh, okay.
Wait, first of all, did we talk about how Jacob ran with me in slides?
Yeah. Just briefly. Well, the tracker map is not great. And I was like, oh, Sarah's like a minute away. And I was like, oh, let me just get a good spot. And I was like, wait, where is she? She's not here yet. And I kept going further and further and further. And everyone else that I was with stayed back. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to go back to them anyway. So so I tucked my feet in as tight as they could get into the slides.
So I see Jacob from like 100 meters away because he's like got his phone out. He's like screaming. Yeah. And then I'm like, and we're like running by the distillery. There's nobody really out there. So it's very easy to spot Jacob. And then he's running with me in slides and he's trying to like hype me up. I go, wait, how'd your run go? And I'm like, how fast did you run? He goes, oh, I hit a 17-minute PR. It doesn't really matter. But he just like keeps running. And then I'm looking down. I'm like, you're literally running in slides. As I'm going like
slap.
But you're running in slides. It was like when I saw my friends about a kilometer later, or maybe it was at like 41, and they were running. They were cheering for me, and then they started running alongside me. And I turned them. I go, guys, I can't have you run alongside me because it's killing me that you're running faster
that you're going
than
so
me
much
right
faster.
now.
I know. Did you see the guy that was going? I don't know if you probably did it because he was looking amazing. But the guy that was going for the Guinness Book of World Records record for fastest marathon run while pushing a stroller. He was sticking with the elites for a while. Like I saw him coming back on.
Did they give him
Lakeshore
special
West.
permission? Because I didn't think you were allowed to.
Yeah, I think if you're doing one of those, I think if you're going for a record, they kind of like give you some leniency.
Well, I saw the juggling guy. He was speedy.
I saw a clip of the juggling guy. He was like, yeah, he was running so fast while juggling. It's like, what are you doing? On my first marathon, I got passed by a guy in a chef's outfit carrying a cast iron pan. Speaking of you being like, you guys got to stop running beside me because you're getting in my head right now. When that happened, I was like, this is not great.
I didn't have anybody in costume or like any of those things in my area because that would have like really bothered me. I think
one of the biggest pluses for my race, just to shout out women really quickly, was there were a lot of really strong women around me. And I think it's because the time that I kind of ended up running, they passed me in the last 5K. But that
is a
for
Boston
our age
qualifier time,
category,
right?
is the
so that's good because then you're getting like pulled with like
I know because
elites,
for the last like 12K, there were a couple girls like kind of right around me who were running really close, and I was like, okay, we kind of leapfrog. They were pacing and I'd jump ahead a little bit and that kind of thing. But yeah, they were definitely pulling me because they were trying to go for a BQ probably. And one girl, oh my God, I felt bad for her. She ended up passing me, so she's all right.
She's fine. She's doing great.
She went to change her music on Queen Street East, and this was my biggest fear because I dropped something in New York and had to go back for it. She went to change her song on her AirPod and knocked out one of her AirPods on a hill and had to turn around and pick it up. And then she passed me like 2 minutes later.
I saw somebody, he fully dropped his full headsets, and then another guy stopped while he was running to help him pick it up.
Oh, really?
It was so sweet. I love moments like that. Okay, so now post-race, we've talked about I crossed the finish line. I cried. There was so much salt coming out of my pores. It was insane. I made all my friends feel my face. I was like, feel how salty my face is.
It's like sandpaper.
It feels like sandpaper. My friend had moisturizer, thank God, because I threw that on. What did you do other than come and cheer me on for the last little bit? Like, what did you like post-run? Like, look, what did the rest of your Sunday look like?
Well, I hung out with Ben and Amanda and Emma and Bradley and Willow and Remy, my nieces, for a few minutes in Nathan Phillips Square. Just kind of like debriefed a little bit, and then it was gonna be really hard to cross the street to go to the other side to get to where like Haley and a bunch of other people were. So they bailed to go and eat some food, and I kind of shuffled across. So I just chilled for a little bit and then cheered, and then. Because I live in the East End as well, and it wasn't that far from Bay and Wellington, I just kind of we kind of just like walked back while cheering. I've done that the last 3 years, I think, from that spot, and then just walked home. It was good to just
it really
like
helps stretch out
keep
your legs,
moving, to like recover a little bit. But then the other thing is like, I took a little bit of time, and then I saw you, and then I walked, I don't know, another K or 2K back home. That's what I love Marathon Day so much about because of that. And it's just like you see the people that are clearly struggling. Yeah. And I love that people have names on their bibs as well.
You can yell and cheer for them.
Because then you're like, oh, the whole time. We're just like the slowest walk back, but then cheering. Edward was big into this too. Trying to get people going again. And there's no better feeling than if someone's like, they've just stopped and they're like totally in their head and they're cramping up.
Yelling
and
your
then
name.
You just motivate them to get going. Oh,
it was so good.
Feels so good.
Yeah, I met up with my friends, and then we had a standing reservation. We went to Grace O'Malley's. It was the only place that I could get a table for 12. We had a whole section. It was really like, it was very casual, so it was perfect. And just close enough that it wasn't a long walk, but far enough that it was a good walk to like stretch my legs out. Did you eat anything? I had a couple nachos and I ate some poutine. That was good, but other than that, I had no appetite.
Yeah, weirdly, I was 2 not hungry at all.
I was not hungry
although
either.
I did on the walk back. There's a Cobb's out like close to St. Louis Market, and I grabbed a cinnamon bun. They have they were delicious, but they were such big cinnamon buns.
And I was just drinking Gatorade. That's all I was doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I crushed 2 Gatorades, I think.
And then I came home, showered. Should I have chilled on the couch? Maybe, but I felt fine enough. I got dressed and I went to a bar to watch the Blue Jays game. But you...
Okay, well, I did the same thing. So I got home, showered. I laid in bed for like an hour and then had dinner with Haley's parents. And earlier in the week or whenever the tickets went on sale, I was like, let me see if I can get tickets. I didn't even try to go for game 1 and 2, but game 6, I was like, I nailed 4 tickets in the 500s. That was tough. We went to the game last night.
Yeah.
And because they're playing Seattle, they start late. They start at 8.
Yeah. And
so the game went until like 11:10 or something like that. First of all, walking up the 500
Why did you not take the elevator?
Post-marathon. I just mean like to get to your seats.
Oh, to get to your seat. Did you take an elevator up though? No, you
honestly,
took the ramp,
I didn't even know there was an elevator.
Did you take the ramp?
Took the ramp.
Oh my God, you should take an elevator.
I was hobbling. I would love to see the security footage from the stadium. Just like, oh, it was tough. And then
you know what? You did that. That was crazy.
Then I was like, please just get me home. But the Blue Jays game emptied at the exact same time that what's her name? Lavi?
Oh, that concert.
That concert ended at the exact same time.
Oh,
and
that's
then
tough. That's tough. And getting to the East End from either of those venues is not ideal. The TTC situation is not good.
We got back home after midnight.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
I just went to a bar and watched. And honestly, it was good because like I forced myself to eat something. Like my friends had ordered food, so I ate some of their food, and then I just had like a Diet Coke, like just like chilled for a little bit. It was nice. And then I just came home and and I was home by 11, so I just came home and crashed the second I got home.
Which is crazy because now we're here, so we just slept and then we immediately came here.
Yeah, this is like we're recording this at like 10 a.m. the next day. And next up, and the reason we're recording so early is because I booked myself a little spa afternoon at the Ritz-Carlton.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to hobble my way over to the Ritz-Carlton. I'm going to try to walk there because I want to like stretch my legs out. Yes, I'm excited because they have like hot tubs and like a pool, and they have steam rooms and stuff. So I'm going to go do that stuff, and then I'm going to do my full body deep tissue massage.
I'm going to meet up with Ben and Amanda and my nieces after this.
Their first time taking the TTC yesterday, I saw.
Yes, the subway.
Big
Shout
day
out.
for everyone. I run a first marathon. The girls take the TTC for the first time.
Remy is such a big city kid.
I love
She's
that.
one. And she was, you know how some kids can get overwhelmed by just like big public, like so many people. She was vibing. She was just screaming and running around.
I need to shout out the girl who has an Aussie Shepherd puppy named Rigatoni, because Nolan was watching with her, and at like kilometer 25, he sent me a photo and he says, Rigatoni is cheering you on. And they call her or him Riggs, which I think is so cute. Riggs. But I got this photo of Rigatoni, and then she commented on my thing being like, Rigatoni and I were cheering.
Oh, no way.
So that was so cute. There was a lot of great signs on the course. I think my friends had some of the best signs, and they were in all the wrap-ups,
you 100%
which was great.
did.
Like my one friend.
Did you keep it?
Jeff and May. No, I didn't. Well, what am I going to do with them?
Frame them.
I'm going to like make a collage of photos of everything.
I have my own big head from New York City.
Yeah. I had that for my birthday a few years ago. But like the one sign said marathon, crossed out, it said Sarathon.
That one was good.
Which was good. A lot of Taylor Swift references. So everyone really loved those because it was like the life of a showgirl crossed out marathoner. And then the other one said like running through the lightning strikes. And then Libby made one that said, like, they were all like opalite and like the Fate of Ophelia references. So there's one that said, keep it 100 on the land, the sea, the course is what they did. So there was just like a lot of really good ones. And I think my friends did great, but yeah, the Etsy witch sign apparently got like the most love.
See, I would say you have to frame the Etsy and then give it to like the archives.
Yeah, give it to the archives of the Toronto Waterfront Marathon. But also just like shout out to anyone that cheered on the course. I felt like a lot of love, honestly, especially in the back half. The like half, I think there's so many people, it's hard to like see people. And I ran up to people that I saw and like that I knew. But the back half, like having people, like I'm very fortunate because I post my life that people like will recognize me and stuff like that. It really helped. Like some people were just reading my name, but others I could tell it was because like my favorite moment, I just passed Izzy, and this girl goes, you guys, like, she's so casual, but she's like one of those people that's such a good motivator. She's like, you got this, you're crushing, you're slaying. And then she looks at me, she goes, you're on Instagram, you slay there too. And I just keep running. It's just so funny. But I saw so many people. I had so many amazing like friends come out and family, my sisters, everybody like biked along the course.
That's honestly one of the biggest things for me too.
I was so fortunate.
I told my family kind of where to be on the course, and there is nothing like
seeing
being
your people
pulled in, especially when you're like, okay, you go over there, and I know like, oh, this is a tough part of the course, but there's 3K before I get to see you, and then I'm gonna get a handoff of something and a couple cheers.
You can see the spikes in like you're running. You can see that you perk
up. Oh my
up.
god, I got the biggest mistake I think I made on the entire run was the first time I saw out west, Ben and Amanda and Emma and Bradley, because they were both on opposite sides and I want to see them both. And I went from like running a 4:35 to running a 4 per K.
Yeah. You like perk up when you see your people.
But then I got a stitch, and then I saw them again. I was like, I got to run faster again and got a stitch again. I was like,
and also sorry to my friends that I was locked in and I didn't see you. Because some of my friends, if they didn't text me where they were standing, I didn't see them. So like Anastasia took this video of me running away.
That is a funny one.
And I was like, and she called me later and that was like, I didn't know for sure she was coming out to watch. So I wasn't like actively looking for her. And then my friend Christina also said that like her and her son were out watching, and she's like, I spotted your tan. Your spray tan. But like they saw me, but I didn't see them because either I was on the left-hand side or I couldn't hear them or whatever. So
also you had a full glam pre-marathon. I was like, damn, should I be getting a spray tan and my nails done?
toenails. I needed to do whatever I could to make myself feel better. I had my
That's part of the mental
freckles.
game now. Okay, I'm jealous of these
I have a bunch. You could use them
glitter freckles.
Everybody does them. So many girlies had them on. So many people were wearing glitter freckles. They're like a thing on TikTok. So.
I think I might have done sub 320 if I had glitter freckles.
Maybe that's what we'll do for next time. Okay, so while we're here, we're fresh. We're not even 24 hours post run. You'll definitely run a marathon.
Yeah,
again.
I'm going to submit for Chicago. I'm going to submit for London again. That's another year, but
when does London?
I think
run?
they
runs in the
are
spring,
in
don't
the
they?
Spring. Yeah, so you submit in the spring as well.
So
were you going to run again?
Yeah, I want to do a major.
Yeah, but you're for sure. That's a quick turnaround on yes, I'm doing another marathon.
I knew at Columbia 36 I was doing another one. Once I relinquished time and I didn't give a shit my time, I think the thing is I know I can do that a lot better. And look, for my first one, I'm fine.
It's just so hard though. You know,
no,
when
it is.
Like,
it is so hard.
Like 34K
it is so hard.
and you're like, damn, I still have so many kilometers to run.
For sure. And I'm not like diminishing my own accomplishment. Like I don't think yesterday I could have ran that any other way than I did. But I do know now that I just think that now that I understand how a marathon works, I would like to use that information. It's like how once I knew what a half was, I would know how to like do it again.
Yeah.
I would like to use that information and run it. Also, I would just love to run a world major. I think it'd be really cool to travel for one. Mm-hmm. I'm also still like, I'm not even 30. So like most people don't even start running until they're like in their 40s or 50s or whatever.
Easily, yeah.
So yeah, one I want to do is next year is like they do a half marathon in, I mean, if I don't get into Chicago, because I'll probably submit for Chicago again. I submitted last year and I didn't get in.
Yeah.
Is they do a half marathon in Nova Scotia that's like run through like wine country. It's a really flat course, half marathon and marathon. So I think that one would be really fun. It's on Thanksgiving weekend every year. Ooh. So my friend Jared, he said he would run it with me if we did that next year. So like there's just like other cool places I want to run and other cool races I want to do.
How do you feel about running now? This is the thing that I always have a moment of pause after a big race. Because obviously you have to take a few days just to let your body recover a little bit,
sure.
whatnot. But are you gonna continue running?
I don't want to lose this fitness level.
I know, that's where I'm at. I'm just like, I'm so fit right now.
I'm not gonna go run a half marathon or like 25K like long runs, but like I feel so good on a 5 and 10K right now that I don't want to lose that. So what I might have to do is sign up for another. I need to sign up for a spring race,
spring half maybe.
Yeah, maybe a spring half because then I will have a reason to keep running and keep
That's
my
where
fitness
I'm at because
up.
the last 3 marathons I've done, I've basically started from zero fitness and built it back up.
Where you want to like not
if I
lose
have this now and maintain a little bit, it'll be so much easier to
I
train
just
the next time.
I don't want to be like, oh, I did all this training and all this running to run that one race and then I'll be like, okay, and then because that's what happened last time. Like I ran the half and then I didn't run for so long.
I know.
And then I had to build up again. And then I started this marathon from like zero, worse than I was like, I don't know, like before I started training for the half. Like it was crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I'll definitely run another one in my lifetime. I don't know if it'll be next year, the year after, whatever, but I don't want to lose this fitness level. Mm-hmm. And now that I am, well, it's fresh in my brain on how to run it. Now I want to like be better, you know?
We were getting sold on the Ottawa Marathon at the Expo.
Yeah, but the Ottawa Marathons, apparently they call it Hottawa because it's so hot every single year.
Really?
It's in peak Ottawa summer.
Maybe not then.
Except for I did have a girl DM me and say that after I ran the half in 2023, she signed up for her first half. And then now after this marathon, she's signing up for her first marathon.
Hey, okay.
So I'm sorry that I'm doing that to you. Have fun. This has been a good debrief. Jacob and I are both definitely going to lose a toenail after this, probably when we take our socks off.
Yeah, I was very worried that I was going to peel off my big toe the other day.
Yeah, I was worried about that too. And then Jaden, before the record goes, this sounds horrible. And we thought she was talking about the audio. And she was like, no, like you lose toenails. You're like in pain the whole time.
You can't walk.
But then did you see my video where I'm crying crossing the finish line? That's what makes it worth it.
It's true. It's true.
And just like doing something solely for yourself.
Well,
which is great.
I'm proud of you, Sarah.
Thanks. I'm proud of you, Jacob.
Thank you.
For your PR. And I would love to know if we are in the top 5 podcasts of 2 people that run a marathon.
Host, post your times.
Oh, I don't want to bring it down on our average. Maybe don't do that. Anyways, thank you for listening to this little special debrief episode of Talking Fast. I've been Sarah. That's been Jacob. We have new episodes every single Wednesday. And I'm going to go to the spa now. So, see ya.